You know, in life, relationships, whether between people or nations, are tested not when everything is perfect, but when storms come. The breakup between India and the United States is not just a political headline, it is a lesson about trust, vision, and responsibility. It's easy to stand back and blame the other side. It's easy to point a finger, but champions don't waste energy on blame. They use that energy to build, to fix, to rise again. When two giants stand together, they can move mountains. But when ego takes over, when pride blinds the eyes, those mountains turn into walls. And the truth is, walls keep opportunity out. I have seen it in my own journey, whether in competition, in business, or in life. Division is weakness, and unity is power. We have a choice. Let this breakup be the end of something great, or we can make it the beginning of something even greater. The question is not, is responsible. The real question is, who is willing to take responsibility? Because responsibility builds leaders, and leaders build the future. If we truly want a future worth fighting for, we must replace blame with courage and replace pride with vision. There are moments in life when the air feels heavy. Silence speaks louder than words, and when the distance between two people or two nations feels like an entire ocean. Where we stand right now with the breakup between India and the United States. This is not just about politics, not just about governments, not just about agreements written on paper. This is about the bond between two giants, two forces with the power to inspire the entire world when they work together. Pain that comes when that bond begins to crack. We cannot pretend that this is just another chapter in history that will be forgotten. Is a moment that will shape the future because it carries more than trade deals and diplomatic talks. It carries the emotions, the trust, and the shared vision that millions have believed in. And when something like this breaks, you feel it in your chest. You feel the disappointment, the anger, and the confusion. You ask yourself, how did we get here? Why did it come to this? It's easy to get lost in the noise. The headlines, the rumors, accusations, they all push us to take sides. They tell us one is right, the other is wrong. But life is never that simple. In every breakup, whether it's between friends, partners, or countries, there is always more beneath the surface. There are stories untold, mistakes unspoken, and moments where one choice could have changed everything. Is why understanding the tension between India and the US is so important, because it's not about deciding who to cheer for, it's about learning from what went wrong. Two nations as powerful as these stand side by side, the world notices. Together, they are not just partners, they are an unstoppable force. Collaboration can change the course of industries, shape global security, inspire technological breakthroughs, and even spark cultural revolutions. But when cracks appear, when trust begins to fade, the entire foundation shakes. It's like watching two strong pillars start to lean away from each other. If they keep moving apart, everything they were holding up will fall. I have learned something in life, whether it's in sports, business, or relationships. Strength is not tested when things are easy. Strength is tested in moments of struggle. It's in those moments that you find out who is truly committed, who is willing to fight for the bond, and who will walk away. Right now, India and the United States are in that test. The easy path is to let pride take over, to let misunderstandings harden into permanent walls. The harder path, braver path, is to look at the damage, admit what went wrong, and find a way to rebuild. You see, when people or nations work together, create something bigger than themselves, and that something is worth fighting for. It's worth pushing past the pain and the blame. Because the truth is, world needs strong partnerships. The challenges we face, whether economic, environmental, or global security, are too big for any one country to face alone. When great powers unite, they send a message to the world that together we are stronger, together we can do the impossible. But when unity breaks, the opposite happens. Others see the weakness, the division, the missed opportunities. The trust that took years, sometimes decades, to build can crumble in days. And once it's gone, Rebuilding it is not easy. It takes courage, humility, and vision. It takes leaders who can rise above personal or national pride and say, this is bigger than us. It is about the future. The emotional weight of this breakup is real. People who have worked across borders feel it. Students studying abroad feel it. Businesses investing in joint ventures feel it. Families connected across continents feel it. And this is why it's not just a matter for politicians, a matter for all of us to think about, because the ripple effect touches everyone. Right now, as the dust settles, there's a choice to be made. Let the tension define the story, or do we see it as a challenge to rise above, to rebuild trust, to set an example for the world that even when things fall apart, come back stronger? Unity is not just a word. It is not just a nice idea you write in a speech or carve into a stone monument. Unity is power. It is the invisible force that turns ordinary people into champions, that turns small efforts into big victories, and that turns partnerships into unstoppable movements. Without unity, even the strongest fall. With unity, even the smallest can rise. And right now, in the shadow of this India-US breakup, that truth has never been more clear. When two people, two teams, or two nations stand side by side with one vision, they can achieve miracles. They can overcome challenges that seem impossible. They can move faster, aim higher, and inspire millions along the way. This is why unity is the true foundation of strength. It multiplies power. It's like a flame. One spark is small. When it joins with another, it becomes a fire that cannot be ignored. The partnership between India and the United States has always been more than just business deals or diplomatic handshakes. It has been about combining the creativity, energy, vision of two very different but equally powerful forces. When they worked together, they created solutions, they opened doors, and they made the world believe in possibilities that didn't exist before. That's what unity does. It makes the impossible possible. But unity is fragile, does not survive on its own. It needs trust to protect it, respect to nurture it, and a shared dream to guide it. The moment those things are lost, cracks begin to appear. And if those cracks are ignored, the unity that once felt unbreakable can fall apart. That is what we are seeing now, and it hurts. It hurts because we know what they were capable of together. It hurts because we know that alone. They are still strong, but together they were extraordinary. Think about it. Every great achievement in history has been the result of unity. The greatest victories in sports, the biggest breakthroughs in science, the most powerful social changes, they all came because people stood together for a single purpose. They didn't let differences tear them apart. Didn't let ego or pride get in the way. They understood that unity doesn't mean you agree on everything. It means you stay committed to the bigger goal even when you disagree. When I think about unity, I think about the moments in my own life where I needed someone to stand with me. No one succeeds alone. You can be strong, talented, and determined, but when you have someone by your side, pushing you, believing in you, challenging you, you become even stronger. And that is what India and the US had in each other. They had a partner who made them better. That kind of unity is rare. And when you lose it, you don't just lose a partner, you lose a part of yourself. But here's the thing about unity, it can be rebuilt. It can be stronger the second time. You choose to fight for it. It requires humility because you have to admit you need the other side. It requires courage. You have to open yourself up to being hurt again. And it requires vision because you have to see beyond the present tension to the future you could build together. Truth is, unity is always a choice. It is a decision you make every single day to put the greater good above your personal pride. And right now, that choice is what stands in front of India and the US. Will they let this moment push them apart forever, or will they see the value of what they had and fight to protect it? Unity is not for the weak. It demands patience, sacrifice, and the strength to keep going when it would be easier to walk away. But it rewards you with something far greater than what you could ever achieve alone. It gives you the power to create a legacy, to inspire generations, to leave a mark on the world that will never be erased. Great partnerships are never built overnight. They are not the result of luck or coincidence. They are built through years of effort, trust, and shared purpose. They grow when two sides recognize each other's strengths, respect each other's differences, and believe in a vision that is bigger than themselves. That is what made the relationship between India and the United States so powerful. It was not just a handshake across a table. It was a handshake across cultures, across oceans, across dreams. It was the joining of two worlds that understood the potential they had when they stood together. When two partners truly respect each other, something incredible happens. Listen more than they talk. They understand before they judge. They look for ways to lift each other up instead of ways to compete for the spotlight. Creates a bond that no disagreement can easily break. It is the invisible shield that protects a partnership when storms come. Without it, even the strongest connection will weaken over time. The vision they shared was not just about profit, power, or politics. It was about creating a better future, one where innovation would break limits, where opportunities would cross borders, and where people from both nations could dream without restriction. Together, they could build more than skyscrapers and markets. They could build hope. They could show the world that unity between different cultures was not only possible, but stronger than any rivalry. Respect and vision are not things you can set aside and pick up later. They must be renewed every day. They must be fed with honesty, communication, and a willingness to work through disagreements. If one side stops listening, if one side forgets the vision, if one side puts pride above purpose, the connection begins to fade. That is when the distance grows, not the physical distance measured in miles, but the emotional distance that turns partners into strangers. In life, I have seen that the greatest partnerships, whether in business, sports, or personal relationships, are the ones where both sides see each other's success as their own. Celebrate victories together. They carry burdens together. They defend each other when challenges come. They understand that the world will always try to pull strong bonds apart, but they do not let that happen because they know the value of what they have. For India and the United States, the respect and shared vision they once had allowed them to break through barriers that others could not. They could take on global challenges with confidence, knowing they had each other's support. They could inspire not just their own people, other nations who saw them as an example of what true partnership looks like. That kind of respect and vision is rare, and it should never be taken for granted. Problem is, respect and vision are fragile. They can be damaged by small cracks, unspoken resentment, misunderstood intentions, or decisions made without the other side in mind. These cracks may seem small at first, but if ignored, they spread until the whole foundation shakes. And once that happens, even the most powerful partnerships begin to stumble. Yet, there is something important to remember. Respect can be rebuilt, and vision can be reignited. It starts with humility, the willingness to say, I see your value. I understand your worth. I need you to stand with me again. It takes courage to reach out after trust has been broken. It takes strength to put the shared dream back in the center and set aside personal pride. When respect returns, vision becomes clear again. When vision becomes clear, the path forward begins to appear, and when both partners commit to walking that path together, they can achieve things far beyond what they could do alone. Is the power of respect. That is the magic of a shared vision. The world doesn't just need powerful nations. It needs powerful partnerships. Needs examples that show strength is not about standing alone, but about standing together. It needs leaders who understand that the future belongs to those who can unite around a common purpose. Ego is a quiet enemy. It doesn't show up with a warning sign, doesn't announce itself. It slowly grows inside, whispering that you are right, that you know better, that you don't need to bend or listen. It feeds on pride. Pride blinds the eyes. This is true for people, and it is true for nations. When ego takes over in a partnership, it turns allies into competitors, competitors into opponents. One of the biggest dangers in the relationship between India and the United States, the danger of letting pride and mistrust replace the respect and trust that once held them together. When trust is lost, even small misunderstandings feel like betrayals. Every action is questioned, every word is doubted. It's like a crack in glass. At first it seems small. With time it spreads, and before you know it, the whole thing shatters. Trust takes years to build, but it can be destroyed in moments. And when ego stands in the way, rebuilding that trust becomes even harder because ego refuses to admit mistakes. The truth is, trust is the foundation of every great partnership. Without it, nothing else matters. You can have power, resources, and even the best intentions, but if you don't trust the one standing beside you, you will hesitate. You will hold back. You will start to build walls instead of bridges. And walls do not protect a partnership. They suffocate it. They keep opportunity out. They keep progress out. They keep the future out. I have seen this happen in life, in sports, in business, in relationships. When trust is gone, the connection dies. Sometimes it happens quickly, sometimes slowly, but it always ends the same way. The saddest part is that it's not always because of something huge. Often, it's the little things that build up over time. Decision made without asking, a promise broken, a word taken the wrong way, and if no one steps forward to clear the air, the damage keeps growing. Is why it's so dangerous when ego controls the conversation. Ego doesn't listen. Ego doesn't seek to understand. Ego wants to win every argument, even at the cost of the relationship itself. And when mistrust joins in, it becomes a cycle. Ego creates mistrust. Mistrust fuels ego. Together, they push people further apart. But it doesn't have to be this way. Trust can be rebuilt. Pride can be put aside. The first step is courage. The courage to be honest. The courage to admit fault. The courage to look the other side in the eye and say, the wa can do better. That's not weakness. That's real strength. Strength is not about never being wrong. Strength is about fixing what is broken before it's too late. Imagine if both India and the United States decided to put the ego aside and the mistrust to rest. Imagine if they chose to remember the victories they achieved together, the progress they made side by side, and the hope they inspired when they stood united. They would see that their differences, while real, are smaller than the possibilities they could create if they worked together again. The world needs that kind of leadership, the kind that puts unity above ego and trust above pride. Because when leaders choose trust, they don't just strengthen themselves, they strengthen everyone around them. They inspire others to believe that even after mistakes, even after misunderstandings, even after distance has grown, possible to rebuild. It takes humility to admit that mistrust was allowed to grow. It takes wisdom to recognize that ego was part of the problem. The greatest partnerships are not the ones that never fall. They are the ones that fall, get back up, and come back stronger than ever. That is what is at stake here. Not just about politics or economics. This is about showing the world that trust can win over suspicion and that humility can win over pride. And if they can do that, this breakup will not be the end of the story. It will be the turning point, the moment when two powerful forces remembered that walls are built by fear, bridges are built by trust, and bridges lead to places where greatness can happen again.